So many people, they are actually sabotaging themselves. And how do they do it? Because their mindset is very critical about them. So mindset is everything. Somebody was saying, if you think you can, then you can. It is true. And if you think you cannot, then this is also true. What an irony. So it is all about the mindset. And if we can control our mindset or leverage our mindset, then that is all that we need to do. And how do we go about it? Let us start reading Lewis Howes, and his topic today is the mindset in motion cycle. So let me share the screen, and as we go along, we'll do the exercise also. So here we go. Just give me a minute. I'll close few of those things so that PPT will be visible, right? So it is the same PPT, which is how come it is not showing? Oh, it's showing. So yes, so let us start another chapter today, and we will call that as the mindset in motion. And this is the chapter 11 of Lewis Howes, the greatness mindset. So let us see what all he has to say. Let me use my earphone also. If you were set this book down, walk to your bathroom mirror and look at yourself, what would you see? Chances are you would see the you have always been. Sure, you would see yourself as you are today, but you probably would not see the minute changes that have taken place ever since you finished the activities for the last chapter. These changes happen every minute, every hour, and every day on this journey of life. Contrast that to seeing someone else for the first time in a long time. Maybe it is a childhood friend that you haven't seen for 20 years, a past love, or maybe even a relative you haven't seen since you were a child. In those cases, you would notice a drastic difference. The person you remember from your past is gone. That person may have been younger, had more or different hair, a different wardrobe, or maybe even a different posture or way of walking and talking. It is ironic that in others, change seems to happen all at once, while in us, it seems to sneak up on us. Only after a long movement in the same direction do we seem to see the effects of change in ourselves. But pursuing greatness is all about change. As we have discussed, greatness comes from both healing our past pain and finding our identity as we become someone new, someone different and better. And these kinds of changes take time, effort, and energy. They also take an awareness that change happens when we examine three major components nestled under the one big idea of mindset. Mindset consists of three interwoven and overlapping components. So, mindset is about three overlapping components. One, your thoughts, how you think, your emotions, how you feel, your behavior. How you act. We will unpack these elements more in this chapter, but I wanted to first discuss why these three things mix together to impact mindset. When talking about how powerful negative emotions can be a behavior, Dr. Joy Dispenza, author of Becoming Supernatural, said, if I don't overcome that emotion, then I am living in the past, and that is karma. Because that emotion is going to drive my behaviors and my thoughts. My future is going to look a lot like my past. Emotions can cause us to live in the past where hurt or trauma took place, which affects your present behaviors, which stunts your future growth. Emotions impact behaviors. As communication pathologist and cognitive neuroscientist, Dr. Caroline Leaf told me, you cannot control events and circumstances, but you can learn to manage your mind. COVID, trauma, death, life events. But greatness comes from us managing your mind. And greatness doesn't necessarily mean that you have got millions in the bank and are this famous superstar. It means that you have mental peace or you are actually growing. You are satisfied as a person. Events, especially traumatic or negative events, create emotions within us. These emotions lead to thoughts, and these thoughts must be managed, or else they can control our behaviors in a negative way. Marisa Peer, world renowned rapid transformational therapy trainer, states every thought you think you make real. And if you doubt that, think of this. If you think of something embarrassing, you will blush. If you think of something sad, your eyes will fill up with tears. If you think of food, your stomach rumbles. If you think of something sexy, you can get physically aroused. So the body makes thoughts. Whatever thought you are thinking, your body is very busy making it real. If you think better thoughts, you get better emotional reactions and better responses. Think, feel, act. See how things can get tangled up. Your body makes the thought real. Think, feel. Becoming doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually over time as your thoughts become actions. Your feelings become thoughts. Your behavior leads to more feelings, and your emotions affect your reactions. And so it goes. Let us unpack that connection further. The circle of life. The path to anywhere worth going requires taking action. Chances are you have seen this reality played out in your own life, simply thinking, I should exercise, I need to eat better, I should listen to different people, I need to take a break from social media, I should really reach out to that person and make amends doesn't result in greatness. The same could be said of emotions. Feelings such as I feel lonely when I am by myself at night in my apartment. I feel shame because I said those unkind words. I feel angry because that person cut me off in traffic. Or I feel grateful because of what that person did for me. Don't change your behavior. The thoughts require action, and that requires dealing with both internal and external forces between who you were, healing your past, and who you are becoming, finding your identity, and between your very real past with all the things you are working to heal there and your ideal future, the new greatness identity you are striving to create. It is a process that takes time. Its direction and motion. Consider this graphic of what I call the mindset in motion cycle. Thoughts becomes emotions, becomes behaviors. Again, those become thoughts, and that is how mindset is in motion. The greatness mindset is the sweet spot where how you think, how you feel, and how you act all come together. Mindset by itself is neutral. It can be positive or negative. It can be messy or it can be clean. That is what the two different types of lines in the illustration represent. The jagged lines represent the opposite of greatness mindset. Thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are connected. But not in a way that leads to growth and greatness. When these jagged lines are in play, your thoughts might be largely negative and self defeating, resulting in a shrinking in your mindset. Thoughts like, I'll never be enough to reach my goal, I'll never be what someone is looking for in a partner. Every time I try something new, I fail. And this is kind of thing always happens to people like me. These thoughts obviously have a toxic and negative effect on your emotions. They make you feel defeated, powerless, stuck, anxious, small, and stagnant. And when you feel like that, you aren't inspired to act. Your negative mindset tells you that action is futile. On the other hand, there is a cycle that leads to expansion and growth to the greatness. The smooth lines on the outside represent a greatness mindset where things flow smoothly. Your thoughts are mostly good, positive, and boost your emotions. In other words, they feel like they flow smoothly as you feel confidence, security, and positivity. When you feel confidence, security, positivity, and excitement. These emotions affect your behavior. When you see an opportunity, you seize it. You act with purpose. You push thought obstacles with a grit and determination. When you succeed, you are flooded with new positive thoughts like, I did it. I overcame the obstacle. I grew through that. I didn't react the way I used to in that kind of situation. The right thoughts produce better behavior and lead to better emotions. The right emotions lead to better behavior and lead to greater thoughts. The right behavior reinforces better thoughts, which lead to better emotions. The challenging part is navigating the tension between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The challenging part is navigating through thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It is a little like trying to balance on a stand-up paddle board. You may get to your feet and be able to balance when the water is calm. But when the waves pick up, you can get shaky. Try rowing and you can get shaky still. Bump into something under the water and you can get pitched off. If it takes an internal strength to lock in your core, stay on your feet, and keep moving toward your goal. That is how the mindset in motion cycle works. It is an invisible and constant awareness of the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that impact you daily as you make micro adjustments to gain steadiness. But as you learn to navigate these three components, you gradually move from who you were to who you are becoming. So let us write. It takes internal strength to lock in your core, stay on your feet, and keep moving towards growth. Unlocking the three components. Unlocking the three components. Since the three mindset components can get tangled up, it's best if we unpack them one at a time and then tie them all back together. Let us start with thoughts, then move into emotions, and finally wrap up with behaviors. Optimizing the thought cycle. So here it will be optimizing the thought cycle. I'm no stranger to battling my thoughts and striving to find the right mindset. For many years, the silent dialogue in my head would run on repeat, telling me I was worthless, that I was stupid, that no one could ever love me again. The worst part was that I thought I was the only one who felt this way. The reality is that most of us have a challenge like this. The lies may be different, the recording may play at different times or be triggered by different catalysts, but the message can still be just as damaging. What is even more challenging is that it was my voice in the recording. And who do we trust more than ourselves? So, when my voice was telling me those things, it seemed to have weight and a ring of truth. Dr. Joy Dispenza told me some people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is they think about the problems. Those problems are memories that are etched in the brain that are connected to certain people, certain objects, certain things at a certain time and place. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated with it. So then all of a sudden they start feeling unhappy. Now the body is in the past because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. Did you catch that last part? Thoughts are thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. Did you know this? It is the mindset in motion cycle at work. Our thoughts talk to our brain and our feelings talk to our body. When these thoughts lean to the negative or are linked to a painful past, it affects the way we move and act in the present. And this impacts our future and who we are becoming. Some people have emotions that influences thoughts. Joe continued. Some people are more analytical. They have thoughts that influence feelings, but it is loop. It is that cycle of thinking. The challenge then becomes how do you change that cycle of thinking? This is a critical question to answer because it ties directly into our identity. The right thoughts, emotions, and actions lead to who we want to become. The wrong thoughts, emotions, and actions keep us stuck. Who do your thoughts say you are? We all have high level identity questions that intersect with our thoughts. Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I act the way I do? Who am I become? Let us write this question. Who am I? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why do I act the way I do? Who am I becoming? At the root of each of these questions is a thought. And as we have discussed, that thought is tangled up with our emotions and our actions. That is why it is critical to begin to recognize and, as best as we can, shape what we are thinking. We need to learn how to reject the thoughts that don't align with our greatness identity and to accept and solidify the ones that do. I like how Dr. Ethan Cross, author of the book Chatter, put it. We don't have control over the thoughts that pop up, but what we do have control over is how we engage with those thoughts once they surface. We can choose to immerse ourselves in the thoughts. I can also choose to distance myself from my thoughts or challenge my thoughts. There is a range of things we can do when thoughts pop up. That is where the control comes in. Thoughts are going to happen, but you have a not so secret superpower potentially untapped at your disposal and ready to push past the you that you used to be and toward the you that you are becoming. Just as an army of soldiers can quickly fall apart without structure and leadership, the army of thoughts in your mind can do the same thing rather quickly too. Those little ideas that bounce around your brain hundreds of times a day may be big or they may be small. They may be positive or they may be negative. They may build you up or tear you down. They may help you achieve your bigger dreams, greatness, or they may hold you back and keep you living life on the sidelines. Greatness demands that you learn to order your thoughts and make them work for you, taking charge of your thoughts. At this point, you may be thinking, that's great, Lewis, but how do I make my thoughts work for me? Here are a few things I have learned over the years as I have interviewed experts on this topic. For starters, you have got to establish a sort of thought bouncer that stands at the doorway of your mind and lets the good thoughts in while keeping the bad thoughts out. I heard this term from author and motivational speaker Mel Robbins, who said, I'm constantly training my mind to work for me. Thought bouncer. Keep bad ones out. How does he do this? By accessing the power of something called the reticular activating system. Here is how Mail explains it. Use reticular activating system. Imagine a hairnet on your brain. Only it's electric, meaning it is alive. The RAS has one job, and the job is to block out 99% of what is going on and let in 1% of what we need to know at this moment in history. Your RAS has a monster job. It is like a bouncer at a bar that says you are not coming in. The ways this applies to your thoughts is intriguing. Neil says that there are four things that our RS lets in. The first three are the sound of your name, any threats to your safety, and when someone is interested in us. So But it is the fourth one that can drastically alter how we think. What is the fourth thing? This is the billion-dollar thing that everybody needs to know. The bouncer in your brain lets in whatever you think is important to. And whatever you think is important to you. Don't you think that is amazing? Did you know that? Did you even think about this thing? So it is such a huge thing. So when you get intentional about telling your brain what is important to you, your brain's literally like, come on in. Here is the downside to this. If you have told yourself that you are a bad person for the last 10 years, guess what your brain thinks is important? Remember that track I had on repeat for years? I'm worthless, stupid, and unlovable. I was training my RS to let more of those thoughts flood in. I was essentially, even if it was unintentional, shaping my identity to become that person. Neil explains, when you get intentional about what you want to think about yourself, it changes in real time that your brain lets in and what it doesn't. Thoughts connect to emotions and actions. Debilitating thoughts lead to negative actions. Here is how to break that cycle. It is something Mel calls having a high five attitude. She challenged me this way. Starting tomorrow, after you wake up and make your bed and kind of settle your nervous system, high five yourself after setting your intention. Now you are sending yourself into your morning routine in a totally different way with a calm down nervous system and clear intention. This boost of feeling supported and loved and celebrated. High five yourself first thing in the morning. To fully push past the negative thoughts that interrupt the mindset in motion cycle, you need to reprogram the bouncer in your brain. Look at yourself in the mirror each morning, give yourself a high five, and make sure you are only letting in positive thoughts that will lead to positive emotions that will translate into positive actions. In her book, Super Attractor, Gabby Bernstein describes her choose again method as a way to take control of your thoughts. The first step, she says, is to notice the negative thoughts that you have on repeat and notice how they make you feel. It takes practice to catch yourself at this early stage, but it will become a habit. Step two is to forgive yourself for having the thought. When you forgive yourself for having that thought, what happens is that you no longer identify with it. This separates the negative thought from your identity and allows you to dispassionately view it from a greater distance. The third step, she says, is the fun part. That is when you can choose again, where you can reach for the next best feeling thought. So let us write it, choose again. So the method is choose again. Here is an example that may help lock this in. Suppose you are worried about all the things you don't have and the that is causing you to be really selfish and have a scarcity mindset instead of an abundance mindset. The choose again method helps you flip the script to focus on serving other people. You may not have massive amounts of money or time to give everyone, but you can open a door, volunteer your time and energy, or help someone carry a stroller up a set of stairs. By doing that, you feel more valuable. You feel like you have value because you added value to someone else's moment in their life. The more moments you build like this throughout the day, the more you are going to feel like $1 million. Here is the secret that starts with a simple thought. You don't need $1 million to feel like $1 million. Emotions. We each understand that what it means to feel feelings because we feel them all the time. Feelings by themselves are neither good nor bad. Just as a thermometer simply tells us the temperature, feelings tell us what is going on inside our minds at any given moment. But unlike a temperature reading, our feelings and emotions are often tied to things that happen in our past or could happen in our future. This has huge implications for what is going on in our present. As Dan Millman put it on my show, by focusing on the present moment, the here and now, that is our moment of power. It is our moment of reality, our moment of sanity. We can always handle this moment. He then shared a powerful story of a workshop he once led at a retreat in Costa Rica. On the retreat, one of the events was to race down a zip line. As he took his group up a spiral staircase that wrapped around a green giant tree in the middle of the forest, a woman in the group was noticeably and audibly feeling nervous. He asked her if she had ever walked up a flight of stairs before. Obviously, the answer was yes. That is all we are doing right now, he said, and she relaxed. Next, they reached the top of the platform, surrounded by guardrails and clipped into the safety cable that surrounded the tree. Dan could tell the woman's nerves had kicked in again. Dan told her, the only way we can get hurt standing here is to take off our helmets and bang our heads against the tree. She smiled, and this brought her back to the present, and her emotions were once again back under control. Finally, they clipped into the zip line and stood at the edge of the platform. The nerves were once again evident on her face. Dan said, now you can be scared. At least it's appropriate in the moment. Then Dan brought the story home. By focusing on the moment, it simplifies our life. This is the moment of power to focus on, not our cosmic purpose or ultimate purpose or 20-year goal, but focus on what I need to do now. What is my purpose right now? Being in the moment. What is my purpose right now? Stay stuck and Sometimes we get caught up in what happened in the past, or we worry about the future and what might happen. This stops us from enjoying the present or moving confidently into our future. Dr. Susan David, the author of Emotional Agility, defines emotional agility this way: it is the ability to be healthy human beings. And what I mean by that is that every day we have tens of thousands of thoughts and emotions. The emotions might be emotions about loneliness, anxiety, and those torn into stories that we tell ourselves about who we are in the world. And we have this every single day. When we are experiencing stress and ambiguity and complexity, often these thoughts, emotions, and stories become more pervasive and they have a greater level of hold on us. Physical agility allows us to act and react nimbly. It means we can move quickly and effectively, pivoting to face new opportunities or avoid danger. As an athlete, my physical agility is something I worked on constantly to make sure it was an asset. It turns out that emotional agility, working to keep our emotions and feelings healthy, is just as important, maybe even more so. When we are emotionally stiff and stunted, it keeps us from greatness. It keeps us locked up in the past, and our feelings spiral out of control. And we caught in a vicious cycle, a whirlpool of negative negativity and doubt. Susan described three ways we can process these emotions. The first two are by bottling and brooding. Bottling, as you can probably guess, is when we lock our emotions inside or simply try to push them aside. It can manifest itself as forced positivity or simply ignoring something that is bad and replacing it with something that makes you feel better. In Susan Walsh, bottling is when you have a difficult emotional experience and you are pushing it aside with really good intentions. You are trying to get on with your day or your life, but bottling over time is actually associated with lower levels of well being. Since you haven't been practicing emotional skills, you are completely at a loss with how to deal with a situation that is fundamentally out of control. Brooding can be just as bad. It is where we get stuck in our emotions and feel like all we can see is the unfairness and injustice. Brooding keeps us from seeing anything else but our pain and how we feel. All of this bottling and brooding wreaks havoc in our bodies and nervous systems. It keeps our stress hormones off the charts. Personally, when I feel stress and anxiety building up inside of me, I focus on my breathing. Instead of staying in my pain, bottling it up and brooding over it, I try to connect my body with my breath and breathe through my entire body. This helps me calm myself down. And then I can ask myself if this is a feeling or a thought that is supporting me, or is it something connected to my past that I haven't worked on yet? Gabby Burston told me at the point when you notice yourself in that freak out mode, step aside and say an affirmation like, I'm safe, just breathe. Or you could say, I'm loved, I'm supported, because under every trigger is a feeling of not being safe. Until we learn to create that safe space to examine our feelings and emotions, the sad truth is we will remain stuck where we are and far away from greatness. The same thoughts like, I'll always be bad at money, no one will ever love me, My future is out of control and I'll never reach my goals will stimulate feelings like scarcity, loneliness, fear, and futility. But it can and will change. Feel and move forward. Feelings like pain often serve an important purpose. They let us know when something is wrong. I like the way Dan Millman puts it. There is a saying that fear is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. And it can serve us. If our fear is physical, if we could be injured or killed doing something, fear may be a wise counselor saying, wait a minute, step away from this. You are not ready yet. Or prepare better or take precautions. But if the fear is subjective, if we are afraid of looking foolish or being embarrassed or ashamed or awkward, just do it anyway. So those are the two kinds of approaches. When do you know when to listen to fear? When do you cut through it? Great questions, and you must answer them for yourself if you hope to unlock the greatness mindset. Fear, or any emotion for that matter, is really just a filter to help us clearly see what matters. Fears help us clearly see what matters. In the case of fear, if it is because of a physical danger, then you need to evaluate where you are, what your next steps should be, and how to keep yourself safe. But in many cases, our emotions have nothing to do with a physical life or death situation. Rather, they are a mental block that keeps us from greatness. First, our feelings can indicate a problem to address, like a check engine light on your car's dashboard. When an emotion pops up, it means there is something you need to look into. It is time to pop the hood, so to speak, and look a little deeper. When you are fearful, you need to ask yourself why. What is it that I am afraid of? Is it, as Dan Millman says, the God of opinion? And worrying about what other people think. Even identifying that can help you push past the emotion and think more rationally. Author and lecturer Neer Eyal offers this interesting perspective. We are sold this unrealistic and unhealthy fixation and obsession with happiness. And most people don't understand that we are not evolved to be constantly happy. You want a species to be perpetually perturbed. You want us to always strive, to always want more, to always be discontented, so that we fix things. Feelings of discomfort are important. They push us to find and fix what is broken. Neil says the way to do that is to start reimagining the internal trigger, reimagining the purpose of discomfort. When we feel bored, lonesome, uncertain, anxious, fatigued, fearful, we have to start by understanding that these uncomfortable sensations are a gift to help us. Use that discomfort as rocket fuel towards traction rather than trying to escape it with distraction. What most people do when they feel lonesome, bored, indecisive, fearful, whatever it might be, they look for escape. Psychologist Dr. Susan David adds, our emotions are data, not directories. This means we have to learn how they fit in the mindset emotion cycle, making sure the data we receive is properly interpreted and leads to the type of thoughts and actions that drive us toward our greatness goal. The second thing our feelings can do is indicate an opportunity to explore. When we experience feelings that are more positive, like excitement, wonder, hope, and joy, we are energized and driven onward. It is like there is something just around the corner that we must discover. The important thing to remember, whether they are good or bad, positive or negative, is that feelings aren't final. And this is critical to remember when we think about building our new greatness identity. You may want to make a quick decision based on your intuition and your gut, but a momentary feeling doesn't paint the whole picture. For example, I feel angry right now, so I am going to break up with you. Or I fell in love with you within 24 hours, so I am going to ask you to marry me. Or I feel excited about this business, and I just want to launch it without researching and testing the market. Feel those feelings, but pause before committing to action. Get curious and start asking questions about the feeling. Feel the butterflies of a new relationship. What does that mean? Feel a sense of excitement about a new business venture. What does that mean? Dive deep into these questions before moving forward. Professional dancer and frequent Dancing with the Stars champion Derek Howe told me that emotions are there to give you messages. He said he thinks of it like someone knocking on the door. You can either ignore the knocking and barricade the door, which only makes these emotions pile up until one day they come spilling in. Or you can invite them in one by one, examine them, and deal with them one at a time. Feelings come and go. So deal with the emotions one at a time and let them go. The bad ones won't last forever, but you have to deal with them. The good ones won't sustain you, but it takes more than good emotions to lead to transformation and greatness. Dr. Susan David said that once we get past bottling and brooding, there is a necessary third step she calls gentle acceptance, critical to developing emotional agility. Gentle acceptance is critical to develop emotional agility. Susan defines gentle acceptance as being compassionate and kind of ourselves, not invalidating ourselves or telling ourselves that we shouldn't feel what we feel. Having our own back actually allows us literally to explore, to take risks, to be vulnerable, to give love, to put your hand up for a business opportunity because you know that if something goes wrong, that you will be forgiving and kind to yourself. And that is a good feeling. Behavior. Now we consider the final part of the mindset in motion cycle, our behaviors, thoughts and feelings are predominantly in your head, where few people around you fully know what is going on in your mind, but everyone around you can see your behavior. You can allow feelings to push you to act in a way that is contrary to who you want to be, or you can act in a way that is aligned with you, who you are becoming. This is how you shape your identity. As Neil explains it, behavior change is identity change. Let us unpack that a bit. He continues, our perception of who we are, our identity or self image, has a dramatic effect on our future actions. Self image is a cognitive shortcut that helps our brains make otherwise difficult choices in advance, thereby streamlining the decision making process. This means that when we decide who we want to become, our definition of greatness, our meaningful mission, then that becomes our identity. And when our identity is clear, then our behaviors are easier to re-establish. Say you want to run a half marathon. Assuming you have the basic health and physical abilities to start training, what do you need to believe about yourself to get started? Go back to identity. There is a big difference between wanting to someday run a race and actually being a runner. The wannabe runner doesn't have a plan for training. Whether they run or not today depends on how they are feeling. But if the runner has already decided, I'm a runner, then they do what men runners do, run. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to feel like it. They do it. It expands outward from there. When it comes to indulging in a pint of pity ice cream when they feel bad, they don't ask if they should. They ask if this gets them closer to their goal of running the race. The answer is no, because that is not what runners do. The ice cream may still be tempting, but because their identity has been decided, I am a runner who is training for a race, then their action becomes easier to decide and manage. Obviously, this is an oversimplification, and I am not downplaying your thoughts and emotions, but the principle is solid. I like this example from Neer. In the same way, telling yourself that you are indestructible can empower you to become distraction. You are empowered, you will empower yourself yet further by saying this not just to yourself, but to others as well. For example, when they ask why do strange things like meticulously plan your time, refuse to respond to every notification immediately, and so on, you can explain that you are indestructible and that these acts are typical for an indestructible person in the same way that, say, prayer and fasting are to a religious one. Who do you want to be? An entrepreneur? What do entrepreneurs believe about themselves? A better friend? How do good friends behave? A more involved citizen? How do involved citizens act? A better partner? What does that look like? Small changes in how you describe yourself can lead to big changes in your actions. Actions speak. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are and who we are becoming are immensely powerful. What story are you telling yourself? Does that story align with your identity? Gabby Bunstein told me, when I'm just being me, I have nothing to prove. I'm just in the truth of who I am. I think that one of the secrets to confidence is to accept that your authentic truth is the fullest part of who you are. That is when we can start lay down the pretenses of start to lay down the pretenses of who we think we should be and just be real in the moment. We touched on this earlier, but it bears revisiting. Who are you becoming? Can you define it? If you haven't already, I challenge you to take a moment to write it out in a sentence and then make it your mantra going forward. Then make sure you align everything you do with this identity. Said Godin share. What if we could simply say, I am choosing to be passionate about what I do, and my purpose is whatever I am doing. I am going to be here for it. I'm present for it. I'm merely going to do it. So, I decided a long time ago that my passion and my purpose was a certain kind of teaching to a certain kind of audience in a certain kind of way. But I could have been a totally different thing. And I would have been passionate about that too. Once you are clear on who you are becoming and lean into it with passion, then you need to look at the behaviors that reinforce that identity and the behaviors that restrict that identity. And be passionate about it and do what this identity requires to. Restrictive behaviors keep you stuck in your past. They circle back to that fear of failure, judgment, or even success. They keep you trapped in a cycle of inaction or wrong actions that don't lead to greatness. They lead to stagnation. Reinforcing behaviors are aligning behaviors. They are the actions that match up with your identity. Even if you don't feel any different or think you are different, your actions indicate otherwise. They are lacing up your shoes and running even when you are tired. Because your identity says, I am a runner. It is putting in the extra hours at night to start your side business because your identity says, I am an entrepreneur. It's agreeing to go to couples therapy, even if it is going to uncover some painful feelings because your identity says, I am committed to building this relationship for the long haul. It is taking ownership of your past mistakes and moving forward because your identity says, I am in control of my future. Engaging greatness. The journey to greatness is a lifelong one. But you can put what you just read into motion in your own life right now with these activities designed to help you harness your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. the abundance matrix. One of the best things we can do for ourselves when faced with big feelings is to keep the feeling going and fight the urge to suppress it. You have heard me say this over and over again. Don't suppress. Bring things into the light. Next time you have a strong feeling, even a good one, like excitement, a negative thought, or an intrusive one, or a major decision to make, try out this exercise. Stop and breathe. Sit up straight. Place your feet flat on the ground. Breathe deeply for at least 1 full minute, but you want to feel as calm and relaxed as possible. Take note of any strong, persistent thoughts or feelings. Don't try to stop them. Observe them as though you are an outsider. Allow these thoughts and feelings to wash over you, much like a wave in the ocean. Picture yourself standing just a bit off the shore, inside the ocean. Your feet may shift under their weight, but you are strong enough to withstand their force. The waves come, but these emotions and thoughts won't knock you over. When you feel calm, move to step two. Reject. We don't want to pull the trigger on something based on in the moment excitement, but even when it is positive. Explore your feelings and thoughts by asking yourself the following questions. Consider yourself a curious outsider. I am feeling this. What do I think it is trying to show? What brought on this feeling? What response to this feeling would make me proud? In the action I want to take right now, going to support or hurt my meaningful mission? Is this feeling serving me or is it holding me back? Is this feeling coming from a place of feeling, from a place of hurt? How can I handle this feeling so that I don't feel consumed or crippled by it? What are the positive outcomes from this feeling? What is the feeling trying to show me? What can I learn from it? How would my highest self react to this feeling? Does this feeling support my abundance identity? As you answer these questions, keep your breathing measured. This isn't a time to shut down, react, or become defensive. Remember, you are a curious outsider. The goal is to evaluate your feelings without using them as a definitive call to action or identity marker. You can move away from the place of identity, identifying yourself based on something pretty. If you want to fully heal, you can't rely on feelings as a foundation for your identity. You can only use the information they provide. Step three, feel out. Fill out the abundance matrix. Now that you have taken time to reflect, take your current thoughts and feelings and plug them into abundance matrix. Sketch this matrix on your whiteboard, notebook, journal, or wherever you have lots of room to write your observations. This matrix should serve you every time you want to process your innermost activity. So let us create metrics insert. Mission. First quadrant, upper left. If you believe your thoughts and feelings are part of an abundance identity and will lead to actions crucial to your meaningful mission, place them here. Some examples might include excitement over a positive meeting with someone who can help you in your meaningful mission, or pride over a new skill you are honing. Perhaps you are feeling overwhelmed by positive things happening quickly and you don't know what to pursue first. Ask yourself if it is crucial to your mission and the abundance that comes with it. If the answer is yes, place it in the box. Second quadrant, upper right, if your thoughts and feelings are crucial to the mission but are part of a more neutral identity, meaning these particular thoughts and feelings are important but not particularly abundance building, place them here. An example of this type of feeling is justified anger. If part of your meaningful mission is to help marginalized people, you need to stay angry at the system without internalizing that anger. Another example of a neutral thought that is also crucial to our mission would be, I need to learn Spanish, but I am struggling to find the time. Justified anger. Prior to the earlier step of reflection, either one of those examples could have been harmful and led to a scarcity. Mindset, but because you took the time to explore them, they have been neutralized. Third quadrant, lower left. If your thought or feeling is not crucial to your meaningful mission but leads to an abundant mindset, place it here. Perhaps when you begin the earlier reflection portion of this exercise, you were feeling incredibly burnt out and wanted to quit. But now, after calming your nervous system, you have recognized that the solution is to lose an activity or two so that you have more room for joy. This realization isn't crucial to your mission, but you are building an abundance identity by creating more space in your life for relaxation and happiness. That is happiness. Fourth quadrant, if your thoughts and feelings are both not crucial to your meaningful mission and do not build an abundance identity, place them here. These are likely going to be your negative feelings, time wasters, and debris from old thought patterns. With your matrix filled out, you can now make decisions and take action. Your highest priorities for your meaningful mission will be in the upper left, upper right, and lower left quadrants. The lower right quadrant is very informative. This quadrant reveals the personal work ahead of you to maintain your abundance reality. These are the things you need to consciously rid yourself of. In this quadrant are the thoughts and feelings that, if not harnessed, will lead to a neutral and limiting identity. Or else these will take you to a limiting identity. These are the things you need to consciously rid yourself of. In this quadrant are the thoughts and feelings that, if not harnessed, will lead to a neutral and limiting identity. You weren't created for neutrality, you were created for greatness. No matter who we are or what we accomplish, negative thoughts and feelings will slip in. We need to quickly bounce them right out of the abundance club. Kick out the thoughts that are causing problems so that you can heal from the feelings that lead to negative thinking. Reflect on your journey. As you strive to become better at processing your thoughts and feelings, consider a rightly nightly reflection practice. Before you end your day, ask yourself a few questions. How did I do with my thoughts today? When thoughts came to me, what went abundance mindset, abundant identity, loving identity, or powerful identity minded? Did I let them stay inside my mental home or did I bounce them out? Did I guard my mental home with limitless thinking or did I limit my thinking and allow scarcity to confine me? As you ask and answer these questions, don't judge yourself harshly or be unkind to yourself. You are simply collecting data. Think of yourself as your own coach. A coach collects data on his athlete or client, provides feedback, and helps them improve. The silent conversations we have with ourselves impact everything from our mission to our health to our relationships. Let us make our silent conversations intentionally positive and affirming by coaching ourselves to greatness. Let me write another thing here before we conclude. It is about this is to be journaled every night before bedtime. Let me make this a different color so that color so that it stands out. And let me save this, save and stop sharing. And thank you for being here, watching me all the time. Thank you so much.